Hello and welcome back. In a world that demands your constant attention and time, thank you for choosing to pause and spend a few minutes in stillness with me. I am Sim, and here in this series, we explore the architecture of a quieter, deeper life. Too Simple Life is a channel designed to be a virtual place to sit with ourselves, thinking through stories, not answers, and holding inner peace in this complicated world. Somewhere right now, a family is sweeping out the old year. Firecrackers are being strung above doorways. Red envelopes are tucked into pockets. Dumplings are folded in kitchens that smell of ginger and sesame and something older than memory. Lunar New Year is coming, and with it, an ancient invitation to pause before you leap. But I wonder how many of us will actually pause. Because the world we are stepping into this year feels less like a new beginning and more like a running track where everyone else already has a head start. Barely a morning passes without another announcement, a new model, a smarter tool, a think piece declaring that your skills are already obsolete, that the ground beneath your work has shifted again while you were sleeping. And so we do what anxious people always do. We refresh, we consume, we optimize, we plan, we stay up too late building elaborate mental models of a future that refuses to hold still. I want to suggest, gently, that this is exactly the wrong response. And that two rather unlikely teachers, a 19th century English poet and an ancient Chinese philosopher, have been waiting, very patiently, to tell us so. In December of 1817, John Keats wrote a letter to his brothers. He was 22 years old, restless, and brilliantly alive to the strangeness of the world. In that letter, he named something he had noticed in Shakespeare, a quality he called negative capability. He described it as the ability to remain in uncertainties, mysteries, doubts, without any irritable reaching after fact and reason. Irritable reaching.
Sit with that phrase for a moment. Is there a more precise description of what we do when AI anxiety takes hold? We reach compulsively, urgently for the next forecast, the next expert, the next 5-year plan that will finally explain how this all ends. We reach because the not knowing feels dangerous, but Keats, and the research now agrees with him, understood that this frantic reaching is not intelligence. It is fear wearing the costume of productivity.
Now travel east and back much further still. Laozi, the author of the Tao Te Ching, offers the same wisdom through a different image. He asks, who can make muddy water clear? Not the person who stirs it harder. Not the person who pours in chemicals or shines a brighter torch. The water becomes clear when you set it down, when you leave it alone, when you stop and you wait. This is Wu Wei, often translated as non-action, though that translation flatters laziness too much. Wu Wei is not doing nothing. It is refusing to do the wrong thing. It is the discipline of not forcing, not rushing the season, not paddling furiously upstream simply because stillness feels too much like surrender. Think about that for a moment. In a world of infinite refresh buttons, Wu Wei is the practice of not refreshing. Now, here is what I want you to understand most clearly, because it is the part that is most easily misread. Sitting in the void is not passivity. It is not giving up, switching off, or pretending the disruption isn't real. What I am describing, what both Keats and Laozi are describing, is something the Zhuangzi calls zuo wang, sitting in forgetfulness. Not the forgetfulness of neglect, but a deliberate, courageous loosening of the tight, frightened self that believes it must control everything in order to be safe. Because when you sit long enough, when you stop filling every quiet moment with another podcast, another course, another thread about what AI will do to your industry, something begins to settle. The silt drops, the water clears, And in that clearing, you can actually see what is in front of you rather than the story you have been telling yourself about it. This is what I call active waiting, not collapsed waiting, not lying on the sofa in despair, but the waiting of a drawn bow, attentive, present, ready, maintaining the simple, sane commitments, sleep, movement, one piece of honest work each day, listening to your clients, watching the signals, learning what genuinely interests you, but resisting the urge to convert every piece of information into a grand, definitive verdict about your destiny. As the Daoist says, everything flourishes, and each returns to its root. The tree does not panic in winter. It is not failing because it has gone quiet. It is gathering. You are allowed to gather. You are allowed to be, for a while, between stories. You are not who you were before all of this accelerated, but you are not yet who you're becoming either. And that in-between space, as frightening as it feels, is not a void to be escaped. It is the studio where original work is made. So, as this new year turns, as the red lanterns are lit and the old year is swept from the doorway, I want to offer you a different kind of New Year's wish. Not the wish that you figure it all out, not the wish that the uncertainty resolves, that the industry settles, that the right answer finally announces itself. Instead, I wish you the courage not to know. I wish you muddy water and the patience to leave it on the table. I wish you the ability to sit in the middle of your questions, not frantically, not helplessly, but with the steady, open attention of someone who trusts that clarity comes from stillness, not from speed. And I wish you, in Keats' beautiful phrase, the capacity to remain in uncertainties, mysteries, doubts, long enough that something genuinely new can find you. Shin Nian Kuai Le, Exan Nian Kuai Le, Happy New Year. May it be less about knowing where you're going and more about trusting who you are when you arrive. Thank you for watching or listening. Time is our only non-renewable resource, and I deeply appreciate you sharing yours with me today. If this brought you a moment of clarity or peace, then the time was well spent. Thank you for being part of this journey. I'll see you in the next one.